Hey, JD here. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and please hit a like. Today we're going to look at these very beautiful Crosman pellet guns. So this one here is the baby I bought years ago. I bought this in the 90s. It's one of the original classic Crosmans. And this one I bought, and I'll tell you why, just recently. And it's also a Crosman 1322. So these are both 22 caliber pellet pistols. And there is a difference between them. So let's look at the differences really quickly. All right, the first difference I noticed was the actual quality of the plastic here. This seems a little cheaper, a little more hollow feeling than this. You can even hear it when you tap on it. So this is the first thing I noticed. I think the styling here was really good in the old gun here. And it felt a bit more solid. And when you cock this gun here, cock it like that, it just feels solid. That's just one cock. This is the trigger pulls in the back here, like that. People used to love this here, but it restricts you from adding modifications to this gun. So, and what you do is you just pull this back to cock it. It's a cocking mechanism like that, and then you fire it. And this gun's got nothing in it, no ammunition, but I'm just going to fire it into a piece of cloth here. So it does have a safety, and you take the safety off and just fire it like that. And it's got quite the heft. So this was my original Crosman here. Works really well. It's got a sight, peep sight in the front. It's got a dagger sight in the front, and it's got a grooved sight in the back, as you can see. And it's only adjustable up and down this way, but you can slide this sight left and right. So you'd never do this for wind because it just isn't practical to move this back and forth for wind. The other thing that this has that the new one doesn't have is the way you load the pellet. So you take this little shield, you move it back, you put your pellet in here, and then you push the pellet in and turn that, and then the pellet is inside the chamber. And the valve, there's a valve with a gasket on it, and the valve is right in here. You can kind of see it a bit right there with the gasket. So the other thing this has that the other gun doesn't have is it's got a plastic filler all the way down between the barrel. This is the barrel here, and they're rifled barrels. And this is where the gas chamber is, where you actually pump the pellet pistol up. So if I open that up, you'll see there's the pumping mechanism there. And just turn my camera on a bit, and there you go. And there's the pumping mechanism. I've oiled it in here, and there is the cup on this side, and then the rest of it's just a mechanism to pump. And they say you should always have at least one pump in there. I'm looking at the thickness too of the plastic here. It looks pretty hefty. This one is in mint condition. I'm not going to do anything with this one other than perhaps put a buck rail a Picatinny interface in there. So, and I'll show you that in a second. So this one here, the trigger guard looks a little bit different. Not a lot. It looks a little more round than this here, and you've got sort of a brass trigger in here. And so that's what this is. So now the new one, which is also called the 1322 Classic, what it has is a different loading and cocking mechanism. So it's got a bolt. It's bolt action, which means there's nothing in the back end, which allows you to add a stock to the end here. So it's bolt action, so you pull that back, and when you push this back, it moves the cocking lever like that. And there's a rod that goes out here, which is the cocking lever, and there it's cocked and ready to fire. Right now I think I've got one pump in there. And same as the other one. I look at the plastic here. It looks thick, it just feels cheaper. I don't know why, it just feels a little bit more like a Mattel. This one isn't as smooth because it's brand new, so it doesn't feel as smooth as my older one. But that's that. The other thing as well as there's a gap between the barrel and where the gas chamber is here, which is actually pretty convenient. I'll show you why. But there is a gap, so they haven't put the same piece of plastic filler in here. And this plastic filler is just a piece of plastic with a U that conforms to the barrel on the front and a U that conforms to the barrel on the back and the bottom, on the top and bottom. And you can just unscrew this and slide that out, and then you have the barrel in this without a problem. So, and I've done that as well. The other thing to note here is that there's a pin in here. This is a solid pin, and it's got a U, I'm not sure what these are called, but they're U clips here. So it's a clip on the end, so you just fire the clip out, and then you slide the pin out. Whereas on these ones here, it looks like it's riveted in, so they're pounded in, so the pin is pounded in. I think you can replace those by pounding it out and putting a better pin in there. And these pins go through this front area here on the bottom. It keeps that in place, and this is plastic holding the barrel steady on this side. So there's a little more quality on the older one. These ones are probably able to punch these out with their machines more quickly. So that's the main difference, is this trigger mechanism here, bolt action, which I like actually. Now both of these these are plastic here. So if this is something I wanted to replace, I did not like the plastic. It just feels cheap. Now I looked at my old gun here, and this is also a plastic breech, and it feels a little more solid than this one here. Actually, it's the way these are designed, I guess. And this one here is a round breech that goes down. This one here conforms more to the bottom of the barrel. It's probably easier to line it up than this one here. But I've taken this one completely apart. In order to, what I wanted to do was add a scope, like a red dot scope to this. And I'll show you the red dot scope. So this is the red dot scope. It's a nice scope you can add. You can buy these off of Amazon. The ones that have this look to them are all made by the same company, even though they have a different brand. This was CV Life, I think, is the brand of this, but it didn't have CV Life written on it when I got it. There's nothing in the box. The box came like this with a couple of Allen keys, and it's got a Picatinny rail mount on there. Now my problem is that the only way to rail mount this scope on this gun was to buy these. So I bought these two rail mounts here, and if you're familiar with rail mounting, this will allow you to do a Picatinny, which is 22, I believe, or a dovetail on the inside here, which is 11. So you can mount either a dovetail rail or a Picatinny rail. So this goes in just like that. Got to go through the back here. There we go. So it goes in like that, and that mounts it. It's not tight right now because these screws are loose, but this then mounts on the barrel on here. The problem you have with mounting this on the barrel is that this plastic thing gets in the way. This thingamajobby doohickey gets in the way of that mount, so you have to disassemble the gun. You have to take this out and then mount it. Or what I'm thinking of doing, just so I can mount this on here if I need to or want to, is just take this mount here and see how much of this material I need to remove, and just slice away a bit of that material. I mean, I'm just changing the authenticity of the gun, but there's so many of these things on the market, they're not really worth a lot, I don't think. So I think if I were to take this out and just cut it right about here, I could put a dual mount on here, or even a single mount would probably hold it in place. And these are from Buckrail, and Buckrail 3D prints these, and Buckrail emailed or mailed this to me and did an exceptional job. So I really recommend Buckrail. I don't know the owner, but he did a really good job getting these to me. So I did mount this up on this gun, and it worked really well, and I thought, okay, this is great. They sit a little bit high, because of the way they're mounted. And so they're a bit high. I'm not sure that whether that impacts the actual aiming of this red dot. So that was the trick here. Now to get a red dot onto this gun, I would have had to, there's no rail on here, so I had to use those buck rail rails. So I thought, okay, the new gun, or the new pistol that Crosman came up with, is a little easier to deal with. Let's just have a look at this for a second. All right, again, it feels a bit cheap here. I don't know why, but it just feels a bit cheap. It's probably functional without a problem, but you can modify the hell out of this thing. So you can change the grips here. You can change the pumping grip on the end. You can buy wooden grips and wooden pumping grips. That'll give you a little more girth on here to allow you to pump, right? Because you're pumping this up to 10 times. I found 6 times is probably adequate for target shooting, but you can pump these up to 10 times. You can change the pin down here, and you can put a pin in that's got screws on both sides, which is more robust, I think, pin. The back end, you can put a stock on here that actually allows you to hold this at 3 points against your shoulder. So it's a shoulder stock, can be installed here. And Buck-Rail sells shoulder stocks, and Crosman actually has their own shoulder stock you can buy from them. It's a little less fancy than the Buck-Rail stock, but the Buck-Rail stock is really good. And you can you can Google all this stuff and look it all up. So you can change that. You can also change a bit of the trigger mechanism to make it a little bit of a lighter trigger. I think the pull on this is about 2.5 pounds. See, I'm wounded. Fingernails are long because I play guitar, just in case you're curious. So I think it's a 2.5 pound pull on here. I was in the Army, so I've shot a lot of things in my life. This feels like it's quality, but the exception is this plastic right here, which I don't like. So it's just the breech being plastic. Don't like it. And I found that I could buy a breech online, and I bought this from Canadian Air Gun Supplies, I believe. And the breech itself, let me show you what this looks like. It's a steel breech. Here it is. So there's the steel breech, and we're going to install the steel breech today because this allows me, it's got a dovetail groove in the front right here, and so I can mount a 11 millimeter rail on here. I bought a different rail, and I'll show you that later, but I bought a different rail to mount that was a dovetail to Picatinny rail, and that all works. But I also went online, I bought another scope for $38 that I could just mount on this rail, and it's going to be low. That's coming in 2 weeks, but we'll load the other one up. So I'm going to go through the process this morning of actually modifying this gun, changing this plastic breech with the breech kit, and I'll go through the instructions. There's a couple of other videos online to do that, but none of them that I could find had the 1322 Classic. They had other Crosman guns that take this particular breech, but not that one. So this allows me to replace this, and I can also, if I really wanted to, I can take these buck rail adapters here, and these, because I've got the groove in the barrel right there, I've got this groove, these will grab the barrel without a problem, and then I can mount pretty much anything on that. I can mount a scope, I can mount a laser, I can mount anything. If I were really keen and I wanted to buy an actual scope, you can have this on one side and this on the other side separated for some stability, and mount a real scope on here. But if you're going to be doing that kind of shooting with this gun, you might as well get a different gun. I think people have modded this to become their little baby sniper rifle, but this is a pellet gun, so this will accept these without a problem. I don't have to take out that center plastic piece at all, and they're pretty good. So the first mod I'm going to do is put this breech in. So the kit comes with a bunch of stuff. A bunch of stuff. Let me just dump the stuff. So it comes with the breech, of course. Then it comes with a different bolt that is needed. I'm just going to dump this right here. There we go. So it comes with a breech. It comes with a different bolt. There's the bolt. There's a rubber gasket on here already, so you don't have to worry about that, but I do recommend you put a bit of oil on that. But there's the different bolt here, and I don't like stripping anything, so I'm just going to take it easy when I put this in. So there's the bolt, and that has to be installed. And they've been nice, and they basically, here I'll show you what they do here. They put Loctite. It's a red Loctite, a blue Loctite. So it's not sure if that's the self-removing one, but here's the blue Loctite I have. Just grab this here. Oh, it's a thread locker. Medium strength is blue. So they put a medium strength Loctite on here, and they put some kind of a Loctite on here as well. And it looks like it's yellow, but I don't have that. So I fix vintage pocket watches as a hobby, so I sometimes will use Loctite. So it comes with 2 Allen keys, and these are for different reasons. So in disassembling this, there's instructions here, but one of the Allen keys, there's a breech screw right here, and one of the Allen keys, the smaller one, is meant to remove that breech screw, and we're going to do that. This Allen key, I'm not sure what this one's for. We'll have to figure that one out. I know there's probably another screw in here somewhere, but I know this one's for the breech screw. So let me look. Nothing there. And, oh, I know what it's for. It's for this small screw here. And this screw here is the screw you put in to hold the bolt down. So there's a bolt. It says bolt right there. That's the actual bolt of the rifle, but there's a screw. Where is that? Transfer breech plug. That's not it. That's the bolt itself. Anyway, it's a barrel screw, and that goes right there on the top. So this goes on the top, and it goes straight down, and it ends up being flush or in a bit, so you can put something on this dovetail, this 11mm rail, without a problem. So let me read the instructions slowly and then follow them. Okay, so it says, before you attempt to install the breech kit, make sure the gun is unloaded and the CO2 cartridge has been removed. Well, this doesn't have a CO2 cartridge. Then you put the air gun on safe. Is that safe? That says red. It shows red. Red's probably not safe. There's safe. So the red disappears from here. You can see the red. That's not safe. That's safe. Can't pull the trigger. And I already pumped this once. So you cock the bolt by lifting the handle up and pulling it back all the way. I did that before already. Remove the breech screw that is located in the front of the bolt. So first of all, I want to fire this because I don't want any gas in there. So I'm just going to fire this off once. There we go. It's got quite a lot of heft to it. So there, that's done, fired. So there's nothing in there. And always when you're working with a weapon, you look and see if there's any ammunition in there. And I know there isn't because I just basically fired it and nothing hit my screwdriver set. So they want me to remove the breech screw, right? So I got to pull this back all the way like that. Remove the breech screw located in the front of the bolt, the breech opening, and keep that screw. Decock the bolt or dry fire in a safe direction. So I got to remove the breech screw first. That's kind of a weird thing to do. So the breech screw is this screw right here. So let's see what Allen key is for the breech screw. It looks like neither of them. So that Allen key is too too big, and this Allen key is too small. So I've got to find an Allen key. So the kit does not have the right Allen key to remove the breech screw. Thank you very much, kit. Try this one again. No, that's the wrong Allen key. So I got to go and find the right Allen key to remove that breech screw. Be right back. So I found the right Allen key here. I think the Allen key they gave me did fit. I just had to push it down a lot. So I'm going to remove this breech screw that's inside here. So you can see, there it is there. And I can work that screw, and it's not in there really tight. It doesn't feel like it's in there tight. But I heard someone online say that if you push down on the barrel, it allows you to turn that screw a lot easier. So I'm going to do that. And you don't want to strip this, and you want to keep the screw. So I'm just undoing the screw right here. And I'm putting downward pressure on this Allen key because I definitely don't want to strip this screw. If you strip this screw, you're going to have a fun time trying to find another one. You're going to be ordering it from Crosman, I think. It'll probably cost you $50 for the screw, even though the gun is under 100. So you want to basically don't strip the screw. Bottom line. I may try one of my other Allen keys on this later on, but this seems to be working now. So there we go. So the screw is almost out. And because I'm a watchmaker, I can grab this with tweezers, I think. Is that going to work? There we go. So that's the screw right there. That's the breech screw. Put that aside. And again, in watchmaking, when you do stuff, you put everything aside. So there, looking at the instructions again, it says, remove the breech screw located in the front of the bolt in the breech opening. Keep the screw. Okay, delock the bolt or dry fire in a safe direction. So I did that already. I didn't have any gas in there, so it's pretty much safe right now. So that's a dry fire. Yeah, remove the rear sight screw and the rear sight assembly. So this rear sight, this is the rear sight right there. So I just have to take this screw out to remove it. And so I needed just a plain blade screwdriver. So here's my C1A1 screwdriver. So I just have to see if that fits appropriately and make sure all the screwdrivers fit, and it does. So I'm just removing this screw here and kind of hold everything down while I'm removing this. It's a little awkward, as someone said earlier, when you're doing this under camera. It's not the same as doing this if you're just on your own listening to the radio and farting around, but I decided I'd make this video to help others who might have the exact same weapon. So there it is there. So there's the sight and the screw. And I'm going to put this on this side to not confuse it with other stuff that I have. So I'll move the screwdriver aside as well. So there, that's all done. So it says loosen the set screw on the barrel band. So the set screw in the barrel band. Well, there is no set screw in this barrel band. This barrel does not have a barrel band. If I were to have an extended barrel of 14 inches, then you'd have a barrel band holding that on, but there is none. So I don't need to do that. Lift up the breech and remove the transfer port sleeve. So the transfer port sleeve, lift up the breech and remove the transfer port sleeve that's located between the barrel and the tube. Okay. That is, yeah, I can see that inside. So I can just pull this up a bit and then rotate this out, I think. There we go. That's that. Move this over to this side. And here is the transfer port. So I heard from someone earlier that the small end of the transfer port goes into this part, and there's a seal there as well. So you want to make sure you don't lose any of that. And you're going to put that back after. So I'm going to put this on this side. So this is a reuse. So there we go. So there's the barrel. And hopefully you saw some of that. But that's the transfer port. It was in there, and there's a bit of a gasket in there that you don't want to lose. And there's the trigger mechanism here that pulls back. When you pull this, you're cocking this here. Now this plug in the back also comes out. So it says slide breech up. Okay, I know that I think I have to take this off. Maybe I don't have to take that off. Who knows? So now it's telling me install new breech seal on the lip, or on the tip of the new bolt. Well, as I said earlier, this already has this gasket. The seal is in there already, so there's no issue. But I probably need to transfer a bit of oil on there, just to make sure it works good. And you can use the Pelican oil here, but I've got, again, like I told you, I fix vintage pocket watches. So if you want to get a hold of me, then you can email me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com. But I've got all kinds of different types of oils. So these are good oils for lubrication. So I'll put a little bit of oil on here, and I'm transferring it from an oil pot. But you can use the Pelican oil, but you should have a little bit of oil on this. And this will ease the the bolt going into the barrel. There we go. So that's done. Get that out of the way. I just have an oil cup here I was using. All right, so what am I doing? So what I want to do then is install the new breech seal on the tip. Done that. Install new bolt into the breech and screw the bolt handle. So I already put the bolt in and the handle in, but I've got to take it out and do it again. So let me just unscrew this. And you can, what do they say, talk amongst yourselves while I'm doing this. So you want to bring this in through the back and then align it up a little bit. So if I kick this forward, I should be able to see it, and I can see it through the hole there. I'm just going to move it to this position, and then there we go. Screw that in nice and tight, and there it is there. So the bolt is now in. All right, next job, slide the steel breech into the barrel and install the barrel set screw. Install the transfer port sleeve between the breech and the tube, and ensure all holes are aligned. So the other thing, place the steel breech on top of the tube, ensure the bolt body is forward of the cocking pin. This is the cocking pin here, and then reinstall the breech screw. So I'm not sure, the transfer port sleeve between the breech and the tube. Install the barrel set screw. The barrel set screw, I think, is this small one right here. So do I have something in this diagram that says barrel set screw? I do. It's the little tiny screw here. So this here screw needs to be in here. So what I think I'll do is I will put this in first, and just, I think probably this will work, but just lightly. No, that's not the right Allen key. This is like the world's shittiest Allen key day. All right, that one. This one works, but it's really tight. No, there we go. So there we go. So I've got this screw here needs to go in, but you just want to start it. You don't want this to be all the way in. You just want to start that. So now I've got to slide the barrel in, but I've got to make sure that the cocking handle here, that the cocking lever, what is this called? Yeah, cocking pin. So you got to place this in and make sure the cocking pin is in the right position. So here we go. This is the one arm job. Alright, so there we go. So I can see that the cocking pin is on the other side. You can see it right there. There's the cocking pin right there. So that's on the other side. And now I have to make sure that the, see if I can find that other piece. There it is there. So here, this has to be in here. So this is the transfer port. So the transfer port needs to be in there. So I think it said that, right? Install the transfer port sleeve between the breech and the tube. Ensure that all the holes are aligned. Okay, so now I got to install this transfer port sleeve. So let's see how I can do this. Looks like it's probably doesn't want to even go in there. I'm going to use my tweezers and maybe that'll help me. I think my tweezers, I need to grab this thing on the end. This is not watchmaking, folks. And the smaller part needs to go on the bottom. So there we go. I got a good grip on them now. I'm just going to put that. It's hard to, there's no real angle I can show you here. I just have to do the job. There we go. So that is in there. That's in there, as you can see, next to my thumb right there. And now when I lower this, everything should be lined up. I know the transfer port is what's going to cause me the pain, I believe, in lining this up. So that hasn't fallen down yet, so it ain't aligned. So let me see if I got an issue with this transfer port. It seems to be have no issue on the bottom part. And on the top part, there we go. I think that's in right now. I believe it's in anyway. And I think once you get this in, see, place the steel breech on top of the tube. Ensure the bolt is forward of the cocking pin. That's true. Install the breech plug first, and then the rear sight screw. So it wants me to put that breech plug in first, which could be tricky. I'm holding this down like really hard. And the only way to do that is to cock it. So I need to ensure the bolt is forward, install the breech plug first, cock the bolt by lifting the bolt handle out and pull all the way back, reinstall the breech screw. So I know that I've got to put this screw, which is a shorter, or I have to put the breech plug in here. That's this plug here, I think. In there. Breech plug, yeah. And there's a hole in that plug, so it's got to go like this, right? And then I've got to caulk this. Holding all this together is not easy, by the way. There. Now I've caulked it, and you know, if I were to put a bunch of rubber bands around there, it'd probably be a hell of a lot easier. And then I've got to take this screw here and put this back. And you don't want to strip this screw. I think the it's finding the right Allen key. I've got all these Allen keys, but they don't seem to fit very well. You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm just going to go grab some tape or something to hold this in place while I'm trying to do this job. I'll be back in 2 seconds. So it should have said hold all this together with a rubber band so that you get some freedom here to work. So I did that. I grabbed the rubber band here. And it's sitting there nicely, and there's that very small screw. Now I might be able to just fit this with the appropriate Allen key. And I've got myself a decent set of Allen keys here. Let me see if any of these work, because I think the Allen key they gave me is crappy. So I can just rotate this out and dry fit it. That's too big. This is likely too small. That one almost works. I don't know why there's this problem with this Allen key, or with the hole. It makes no sense at all. That's too small. I think this one is the one that fits. There. So I'll just move these Allen keys out of the way. I don't need them. And when you're putting this screw back in, you just have to make sure that you're completely aligned, because that would be a disaster if you weren't. I'm watching the screw as I put it in to make sure it's actually turning and I'm not stripping anything. So I'm just grabbing it, putting pressure downward. I know I've got better screwdrivers for doing this. I'm going to go to another set of screwdrivers here. All the way from China, another set of screwdrivers. Let's see if I can find something that works. This is a number 2. Let's see if this works. That one's too big. This one might work. Having a hell of a time taking this out now. All right, there we go. It's out. It's out. I think I can put this directly into this very cheap screwdriver. Or you can put it into the extendo rod. We do that. Put that into the magnetic extendo rod. Like that, and then put this in here. And then do that. And now I'm going to see if this actually fits. And it does. Look how easy that is. I think you got to tighten this to snug. There, you don't want to over tighten it because you'll strip the barrel. So that's that. The Allen key they gave you is the shits. So just a quick review on that Allen key. So that was a 1.5 Allen key, likely from a guy named Allen. So I'm not going to tighten this barrel screw until I have the back screw in and everything is settled down. So let me just put the back screw in. Let me see what it says here. It says place the steel braid down and ensure the bolt is forward, and cocking pin did that. Install the breech plug first, then the rear sight screw. Cock the bolt by lifting the bolt handle and pulling it forward all the way back. Reinstall the breech screw. So this is kind of ass backwards. It wanted me to install the breech plug first and then the rear sight screw. So I could have done it that way actually. But this worked as well. So there. So now I'm going to put the screw in here. So you have to make sure the hole here is aligned. You can see that there. When you put this down, now hopefully everything works there. But I don't have a problem putting this screw in. Because I might, you never know. But it should line up. Of course, something is not lining up. Of course. Okay, the other thing they don't tell you is you got to push this in here because there's a spring on that. And if you don't push this in, then the screw is not going to go in. That feels like it's stripping something. You see how that pops out? That needs to be in for everything to be lined up properly. So I'm going to try that again. I feel like I shouldn't be. Let me just take this out again. Make sure that I'm not stripping anything. It might just be the gonna look here and see if the threads are okay. Yeah, it might just be the thread lock that's causing it to feel like I'm stripping something. So that's in right now, but it doesn't feel like it's all the way down. Maybe it is. All right, that's in and tight. So that's in, no problem there. Yeah, just looking to see if there's a gap there. I don't think there is. I think we're good. So that's in, that's tight. So you have to push this in here in order for that screw to take. If it's not, it's out a bit and it doesn't hold that inward. So they don't tell you that here in the instructions. Delock the bolt for dry fire in a safe direction. So I got to delock it and do a dry fire. The bolt doesn't seem to want to go down. That's not good. That means this had to go forward a bit right before it locked in, because it does not want to go down. It's forward, but it's not locking in. So I got to loosen everything up and make sure the bolt goes down. So let's do that. So I'm going to loosen this screw up so it allows me to have a little bit of play. And I'm going to loosen the rear screw here, again to allow me to have a little play. Like that. Now I've got to tighten this a bit or else I can't get the bolt forward. So I'll move it forward just a bit, but not tighten it a lot. Okay, that's good. Nope, gotta loosen it or tighten it a little more for this to clear. There we go. So that's cleared. And now I think, so now the bolts is going in. Pretty friggin' tight though. But if I put the bolt in like that, I could shave this a bit. That's good right there. So I'll put the bolt in, bolt down, then tighten this screw here. Like that. Make sure this still works. Like that. And then when I tighten this, hopefully the bolt okay, that's tight enough. No, it's still very tight around the corner here. Now that could be fixed by filing this or just Dremel tooling that just a bit, but I don't like the fact that it doesn't fit perfectly. Right, it still goes down, but and everything is nice and snug. I'm going to loosen this screw off just a bit. Maybe it's too tight. Yeah, that's a bit better. Put the ammo in. Like that. Now this will fire. Take the safety off. Fire. Did I cock that? I think I cocked it. Yeah, that is so tight. So that's dry firing it. Now I'm going to remove the rubber band. It already sort of snapped here, but just get rid of this rubber band here. Alright, so the steel breech is in. So I just don't like how tight this is as it's going forward. So that's that. And now the last thing to do is to tighten the top of this here. So we'll see what Allen key is needed for this. I think I'll use my own Allen key though. Might be this one here. Or it might not be that one. It's a smaller one. I think it's again, I think it's the 1.5, I think again. Nope. It has to be something completely different, right? So this is to make sure the barrel is in place. So I'm just wondering if I tap on the back. Just loosen this up. Tap on the back a bit with a hammer. I've got a mallet that I use that's very light. All right, I solved the problem. So what I did was I just unscrewed the bolt and rotated the inside, or unscrewed the cocking lever, rotated the bolt. There's a hole on both sides, and of course they've machined it different on one side than the other. So I did that, and look at that, works perfect. No problem. It's easy as hell to put in. So it was that side that was shitty. So there you go. So that's fixed. Now the last thing to do is to tighten the barrel down. And there's no crack here at all, which is great. So this thing is down there solid. And using one of these Allen keys, maybe. Not this one. All right, so this one seems to work. All right, that's tight enough. So there we go. So that is in. So I just tighten this now. So this is done. Let me clean this up a bit. So that was the last instruction, was align the front sight, tighten the barrel band set screw and the barrel set screw. Well, the front sight aligns itself the way it's installed on this, so there's no problem there. And this rear bolt or screw just goes in where it goes in. So everything is good there. This loads itself. I can dry fire it again. And I'll give it one pump in a second to make sure that everything works. But I want to show you something else. Alright, so the next job is to get a sight on this thing. So let me just pump it once to make sure everything is fine. So I'll cock it first, like that. Look how easy that goes in there. This is sad. Sad. So bad spec. One cock. Like that, and then I will fire it into a cloth to make sure I get some kind of a output, and we'll just show you the output here. There we go. That worked really well. So I want to get this sight onto here. So what do? Well, I got the wrong sight. I got another one coming, but this is a 22 millimeter rail, I think, on here, a Picatinny rail, but it's still usable on my other gun. So I bought an adapter. Now, when I get the new sight will go directly onto this 11 millimeter rail right here. It'll go like that, which is absolutely perfect because it's nice and low, but I'll show you what the adapter does. So the question is, do I return the adapter or do I keep it? Because maybe I want the adapter for other reasons. See if I can get the cardboard out here. I think I can return it. I got it at Bass Pro Shop, but I'll show you how the whole thing is configured first. Because if I don't need it, then I don't want it. So here's the adapter. So this would go on here, right? Now these screws are loose right now, so this should go right over the top like this. Now I don't want this retaining screw to be over the top of this screw. I want it to be off just a bit. So when I look at the two like this, right, I have to shift it either forward or back. Well, I can't shift it backward because it's going to get in the way, so it has to go forward. So it has to go right there, like that. So that's on the rail right now. So let me just tighten that up. And I won't bother tightening the adapter. Now, that's on the rail. And it's hand tightened. So that's pretty good right there. And then this here sight then goes on and I can have these on the other side too. I don't have to have everything on this side, but this here then grabs onto this here like that, and there is a bar that fits into the groove here, and that ensures that everything kind of lines up perfectly. So it's a matter of loosening this just a bit here, slip it over the rail, or I can't slide it in because it's yeah, there's no way I can slide that in. Oh, there we go. So now that's on the rail right now, and I just tighten that up. Check the rail. Yeah, there it is there. So it is on the rail. So now we just tighten that up a bit. And tighten this one. And there we go. So now I've got the sight mounted on here. I've got the dovetail rail on this, and I've got another sight coming that's for a dovetail that'll lower the sight by that amount, which will be perfect, right? If I wanted to, I could use these right on the barrel without a problem to add a sight, or if I had a scope and it had to have 2 long attachment points, I could do that on the barrel. But this works. So this is on. It's solid. I'd of course tighten all this stuff up, but it's solid, and the gun loads like that, slips in perfectly, one pump, and there it is. So it is called the Crosman 1322 Classic, and it's got a red dot sight on it right now. And so that is my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. But make sure you got a lot of different Allen keys, otherwise you're screwed. So have fun target shooting with your gun. These little guns are a lot of fun. They're cheap as heck. They're under $100 in Canadian money. They're probably only $80 US. They're a hell of a lot of fun. So please enjoy it and have a good time. Make sure you oil it and take care of it. It's a nice little weapon. And I'll catch you next time when we do some watchmaking videos.